What's up, y'all? I want to talk about my experience with CR England. In my previous video, I was talking about my review of my second local job at Big Creek Construction in Lorena, Texas. So while I was working there, I was looking for another job. So my wife had a friend whose husband drove for CR England, and they were showing, good pay stubs. And I said stubs. I was just like, oh wow, you can make that much at CR England. I heard quite the opposite. So I figured, okay, well, I'm not coming to the company, coming into a contract. So as an experienced driver coming to the company, I figured, I could make some pretty decent money. So what the recruiter told me is that the only positions that they had open were trainer positions. And so they were telling me kind of how it works, and I was thinking, okay, well, I can see, actually making some good money with that, by doing that. So I put in my 2-week notice, and then I went to the CR England terminal in Cedar Hill, Texas, which it wasn't a terminal. It was more of just a training facility. And, I took the driving test, I did the backing test, easy stuff. As a part of their conditions of coming from, as an experienced driver from outside the company to be a trainer, I had to go on a trainer's truck to learn their policies and, just the way that they do things. And so I did that for a week, and I had a lot of modules to complete on my phone. It was a lot. So at the end of that week, he dropped me off in Colton, California, at that terminal there, so that I could, do the TTT class is what they call it. It stands for Train the Trainer. And then you got to do a road test and a backing test and all that. So I did that. I took the course, took the road test, and I took the backing test. Now, they got me on the backing test because I didn't do a proper 45-45. I'd never heard it being called a 45-45. It was a 90-degree alley dog. And that's all I had to do to pass the test. But they had a certain way that they wanted me to do it, because I'm going to be training the student to do the same thing. And I mean, I didn't know anything about a 45-45. I mean, I saw videos on it, but I didn't know that I had to do that in order to, to pass. So they said, okay, get in this truck, come on around, set yourself up, and back into this spot. So, I don't know. I mean, it didn't take me a long time to do it. I got it in. I did a 90-degree alley dog. He said it looked like a classic DMV, but I think he said textbook DMV, but the way that they do things, is just completely different. So the 45-45 is when you say like the thumb, that represents you. You're sitting there in your seat. This right here is the spot. You stop in the middle of the spot. You look over through your passenger window. You find a reference point in the middle of your window. And then once you find that reference point, you get your drives in the middle of the spot where you want it to be. And then you turn towards that reference point and then come back around. And then you can just back it in. The way that I did real world backing. You know, it's just, you know, I always back like I don't have enough room to back. I go like this, come around like that, and then backed it in. They didn't like that. Now, I didn't hit anything. I got it done timely, but it's not the way that they wanted it to be. So I failed. So they said, well, go out for 30 days on the truck with somebody else and come back and retake the test. So I was like, all right, well, fine. So I called the fleet manager up. I'm like, hey, you know, we talked about this, me and my co-driver. I say, you know, we talked about this. Can I just, you know, instead of coming here to be a trainer, can I just not do that? Can I just team drive? And he said, yeah, sure. And there was kind of a long, I mean, maybe 3 or 4 second pause. I paused and I said, really? I don't have to talk to anyone else? He said, no. Nah. Sweet. Okay. You know, anyways, you know, I drove with him for a while and then he got off the truck. He got on, he took a better paying position with an owner up with the company. And then I got another co-driver. This dude was also just barely off his trainer's truck. And I was his phase 2. Now, the other guy, my first co-driver, he'd just come off of phase 2, which is team driving with someone who maybe has equal or a little more experience than you do. So I was this guy's phase 2 co-driver. He was cool. But, you know, I took home time, and I think this was my first home time with CR England, and I was supposed to be on home time for 5 days. I called dispatch and told them, all right, so y'all got him coming back to Texas. My 5 days are almost up. He said, oh, yeah, he's in Arkansas right now. We'll have him in Texas by tomorrow, and he'll be able to pick you up. I'm like, sweet, you know, that's good. And then I found out he had a load going to Minnesota, and I called up dispatch again. I'm like, hey, you know, I heard he had a load going to Minnesota. You know, that's completely opposite from Texas. He said, oh, yeah, we're going to have to swap trailers with another driver and get them down there to Texas. I'm like, oh, okay. The swap never happened, and I was starting to get a little ticked off, and I started asking them. I said, do y'all not want me to drive for you? What's going on? I don't understand. They're like, no, I said, but he told me that they were going to get a trailer swap with another driver, you know, and that never happened, and they couldn't explain anything. I don't know. So I ended up, I enjoyed my home time. I was home for 5 days longer than what I should have been, but I was there. I was on home time for 10 days. That's no bueno. I'm not making money taking more time at home than I need to. So I planned my next home time, and I told my co-driver, I said, hey, man, I'm getting out. I'm bailing. Next home time, I'm taking everything off the truck, and he was cool with everything. And then I was in contact with the company that I'm with now. Overall, CR England, you can make some good money. I think my best check was like $1,700, but that was one. And I made some decent money with CR England. I was very surprised. Um, and they have some cool policies, stuff that they do. They do late night calls, like conference calls. Have a bunch of drivers and the road team, or whatever it is. And that was pretty cool because I drove nights, um, and they had some other cool stuff. But they also, surprisingly enough, they had 4DX. For those of you who know what 4DX is, it's the 4 disciplines of execution. That's usually companies do that when they're starting to go down, or they need more organization. They buy into this program. It's not a bad program. I was just surprised the trucking company was doing it. Anyways, that's my review of CR England. I think it's the worst company I've driven for so far, besides Centerline, but I made some good money there. Well, y'all take it easy, be safe, keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down. Peace. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe.